years back, it became a big narrative among Pretendos that Nintendo was not finishing their games because they were patching in new content into releases like a period of time after launch. There were a lot of titles that received this treatment. Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, Mario Strikers, Nintendo Switch Sports. Like there were a handful of games like this, and people, instead of like it being appreciated as to what was actually happening, that Nintendo was keeping these games relevant by constantly adding new content, like people were getting antsy about it, like claiming the games were completely unfinished when in reality it was not a big deal at all, right? It's no different than what they were doing with Splatoon or what they do. Like again, it was a complete non-issue, right? But people made it out to be some big epidemic, right? Like, oh, Nintendo is getting lazy. Oh, like it was just a narrative that didn't match up to reality, essentially. So how did Nintendo respond to this? They kept doing the same thing, but they stopped bringing it up during Nintendo Directs, right? They announce new updates when they're ready, and they simply don't advertise the fact that they exist in Nintendo Directs, right? When Golf came out on Nintendo Switch Sports, people like Demish were like celebrating it, like, oh, Nintendo Switch Sports is dead, it's never coming back, no one will ever talk about this game again. And then it comes back in one of the most well-received directs ever. Most people don't even realize how big of a deal this is. I hop back on Nintendo Switch Sports. I play a couple of rounds. I see how active it is on there. I see that like there's a big audience for this game, and it kind of dawns on me just like, wow. Not only is this game super popular, not only is it getting new content, it's probably one of the best games on Switch, as opposed to like the commonly held belief among Pretendos that like this game was a major disappointment and was a big letdown after Wii Sports Resort. It was not. Nintendo Switch Sports was always better than Wii Sports Resort, but like the narrative was established very, very early on in the in Nintendo Switch Sports life cycle that like this game is disappointing, it's not very good, it doesn't have a lot of value, but I find myself coming back to this game over and over and over and over and over again because it's so much fun to play. It has so much technical complexity. It has so much going on. It is an amazing experience. And with these updates, keeping the game relevant, like it's becoming more and more difficult for people who dismiss the game on day one, or even back when it was first revealed, to like really keep up the pretense that this is a bad video game. Right, like it's a narrative that essentially collapsed over the past couple of years. And although YouTubers keep like bleeding on about it, about how bad it is and how disappointed they were in it, like this isn't the kind of game that they would play anyway. Like who goes to Max Dude for like Nintendo Switch Sports coverage, right? Like who cares what these nobody YouTubers think? Like who cares what Demish thinks? Right? Like again, Nintendo Switch Sports like blew up the way it did for a very good reason, is that there is an audience for this stuff. It is very popular among that demographic, and it continues to be popular, and honestly I think is going to become my default Nintendo Online game. I think I do enjoy it more than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate or Splatoon 3 and a lot of other high-profile like online Nintendo Switch Online games. Like I think the game does have more technical depth than those games do. Like I think the game has a lot of complexity to it. It has a lot of replay value. It has a lot of skill. I hate using the term like harder than Elden Ring because like what isn't harder than Elden Ring? But like it really is true. Like if you're gonna compete in Nintendo Switch Sports, you're gonna have to get good. You can't just cheese your way through it like you do in Elden Ring. So again, this game was honestly one of those games that like was hated the most in the Nintendo Switch life cycle, and yet like through a series of like really intelligent decisions, with these updates, with these updates, with the way they promoted the game, with the way like they've kept the game relevant, with the online play feature, like Nintendo has successfully managed to create what I think is an evergreen title. Like, I think Nintendo Switch Sports is going to remain relevant for a very, very long time. Like, I do think the Nintendo Sports titles, after decades of like not really having much of an audience, has finally reached the point where they can be considered like major titles in their own rights. Back in the day, people used to dismiss like Nintendo Golf or Wii Sports as just being like cheap pack-in titles, but with Nintendo Switch Sports, I think it is legit better than like I don't know Tiger Woods PGA Golf or whatever. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. It's better than NBA Jam and MLB The Show and Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games and like yeah like it's better than like every sports franchise there is, right? FIFA and Madden. Like, who even is John Madden? But anyway, like when you really look at how when you really look at how about how Nintendo has just dominated this genre, you really do get this feeling that like it's simply going to grow and escalate from here, right? They're going to keep adding new sports after this. They're going to keep making new additions to Splatoon 3. Like they could going forward do a lot more with Mario Strikers, with Mario Tennis, with Mario Golf, right? With this, when those games get sequels on the next Nintendo consoles, like they're really going to take like what they've done with these free updates, not tell anybody about them, and but still keep the games lively and keep them updated and keep them talked about in Nintendo Direct, so that their audience like catches wind of them and picks them up even years after launch, right? You are going to struggle damage controlling these games the way you used to, right? I popped in Mario Golf recently, and I was kind of surprised how good it was. I mean, obviously, I think most people prefer 64 and like the older games. Like, there are reasons why people don't like Mario Golf so much, but like, it's really not that bad mechanically. Like, if it's the only option you have, you could probably get like a lot of mileage out of it, right? I think that's a really good way to look at it. Is that like yeah, there are better Mario Golf games out there, but this game still has a lot of value in and of itself, right? And with yeah, just like how Nintendo Switch Sports is better than Wii Sports Resort, it in no way like invalidates what Wii Sports Resort accomplished. If anything, like seeing how good Nintendo Switch Sports is has made me appreciate Wii Sports Resort more because it set the stage for Nintendo Switch Sports. It's exciting to see like the future of this brand continue to grow and expand and continue to do more things. I cannot wait to see Nintendo sports titles eclipse the relevancy and popularity of the celebrity branded, cheap, generic, uninspired mainline sports titles.